Robbie here. We think we have 13 priests in Boston that fit this pattern, which would be a very, very big story. Does that sound right to you in terms of scale?
No, not really, Robbie. Sounds low to me. My estimate suggests 6% act out sexually with minors.
6% of what?
6% of all priests.
How many priests do we have in Boston?
About 1,500. 1% is 15. 6% is 90.
Wait, 90 priests?
Is that possible?
From a metric standpoint, yes. That would certainly be in line with my findings.
Hello everyone, it's the Pie Guy here. In the scene we just watched, this group of news reporters are doing research on a major news story, and they're confronted with the math problem. What is 6% of 1,500? So what is this math problem asking us? Well, whenever you see the word of, that's always an indication that we're going to be doing multiplication. So of just means multiplication. And what are we multiplying? Well, we're multiplying 6% into 1,500. So we have 1,500 multiplied, but we can't just write 6%. A percentage needs to be represented as a fraction or a decimal. So for any percentage x, that's just going to be equal to whatever that percentage is over 100. So in this case, we have 6 over 100. But 6 over 100 can be represented as a decimal. It makes it easier to multiply. So 6 over 100 is the same as the decimal 0.06. So ordinarily, to figure out the percentage of any number, we would just take that number and multiply it by the decimal representation of that percentage, which in this case would be 0.06. But as you can see, this number in and of itself is not very easy. You would have to work it out on paper, right? You can't really, it would be difficult to just work it out in your head. But what this one particular news reporter does in this scene is, instead of setting up the problem like this, he thinks of it differently. He first makes a statement, well, 1% of 1,500 is 15. So he makes that note and said, and how do we know that? Well, 1% is just equal to 1 over 100. So when you're multiplying those together, you have 1,500 divided by 100. So these two zeros are going to cancel out, and we're just left with 15 over 1, or 15. Or another way to think of it is, all you're doing whenever you take 1% of a number is you're just moving over the decimal place 2 times to the left, 2 places to the left. So instead of 1,500, where the decimal place would be here, we're going to move over 2 places to the left to get 15. 15.00 is just 15. So that's what he does. He first calculates, well, what is 1% of 1500? And then since he knows that 1% times 6 is 6%, that's what he does to the number. So whatever 1% of a number is, if you want to know what 6% is, you just multiply 1% of that number by 6 to figure out what 6% is. So that's what he does here. He figures out that 1% of 1500 is 15, and then he multiplies that number by 6 to get 6%. And hopefully you should be able to figure out rather quickly that 15 times 6 is equal to 90. Alright, and that's our answer for figuring out what 6% of 1500 is. So just a little mental shortcut that anyone can use when figuring out percentages. And that really works for any base 10 number. It can be 1%, 10%, 100%. Well, the 100% would just be the number itself. So whenever you work with base 10s, percentages, all you're doing is moving over the decimal place to the left or to the right, depending on what percentage you're using. So yeah, what is 6% of 1500? We figure out 1% of 1500 is 15, and then multiply that number by 6 to get 6%. So 15 times 6 gives us 90, and 90 is our answer. So thanks for tuning in. This is the Pie Guy signing out.